Hello folks, how are y'all doing? I'm doing this video here in particular for my male brethren out there, those who may be looking to get into a relationship or are in a relationship. They're perhaps being involved with a woman or whatever the case may be. But I wanted to warn you, there is a new, I suppose, trend. I don't know how long it's been out. It seems like kind of recent. It's something called polarity. And I'm doing this video to warn you about it because I have personal experience with it. Okay, I was recently involved with a woman that was knee deep in it. And, I have to call it what it is. It is absolutely a cult. This woman, unfortunately, I have to say it like this, but she displayed all the signs of being full-blown brainwashed. I mean, she was knee-deep in this stuff, and you couldn't tell her anything otherwise. So, well, what is it? What is polarity? The primary tenets of it are, there's two. One, the first one has to deal, the basis of it has to deal with the current trend in society of masculinized women and emasculated men. Masculinized women who are like, I'm strong and independent and I don't need no man. They want to run a man. They want to compete with men. They are, whatever, by default feminists. Emasculated men, as we have seen throughout society, for the last 50 years, the attack on the traditional relationship, the attack on traditional marriage, and so forth, with the rise of the feminist movement and the alphabet movement. So that is a legitimate concern of this program. The other part of it is in their grift to rectify that. They emphasize men leading in a relationship, which I have no problem with. All of you that are out there that are old school, remember your parents or your grandparents where the man did lead in the relationship. Like, for example, if you remember the song by the OJ's, Family Reunion, right? It talks about that the man being the head of the family and so forth, and that his wife was essentially his support. She was his backbone. She was, as we remember it, she was his wife. She submitted to the will of her husband. She was not subservient, but the other role that she has, she was not dead weight. And this is going to be crucial as I go on and get into the details. I'm going to do three videos. I'm going to do one on this, talking about the primary tenets of it. The second one is going to get into the details, and the devil, literally and figuratively, are in the details. So again, this is talking about the man leading the relationship, giving directives and so forth, and the woman being submissive, which I have no problem with, which is one of the reasons I got involved with this woman in the first place. We were talking about it. Little did I know she was evangelizing to me about this stuff, which eventually ended up, the detail part of it started coming out, and I started realizing, something right here. But anyway, it is about trying to correct that thing of the masculinization of women and the effeminization of men, with the man leading in the relationship, which many of us out there who are very much interested in traditional relationships, that is not a problem. We want that. I'm not MGTOW. These guys out here that have sworn off women. God gave me women for a reason. Women were the gift to men. So God gave me a gift. So I do want and need a woman in my life, just not one that's, completely psycho. But anyway, one of the important things about this is that this is not God-based, not at all. They don't mention God anywhere in any of their sources for their basis for this program. So if you're familiar with Jesse Lee Peterson, Jesse Lee often talks about the divine order. God over man, man over women, and women over children. And sure, there's a lot of modern women feminists. They ain't down with that at all, and that's okay, because I don't want a woman like that. Okay, someone who at least can respect the organization of it, because as we know, over society was much, but we've had 50 years of proof of this. It has been much better when society was ordered in that way. One of the other tenets of it is just a weird and abnormal communication process and verbiage that goes along with it. Very convoluted and very complicated, as opposed to normal people talking to each other. So for example, if this woman I was with wanted to express how she was feeling, she would ask me permission to express her feelings, and that's abnormal. When do you know that? When do you talk to anybody, even if you're a guy and you have your girl? Does she say, "Can I have your permission to, express how I'm feeling, to tell you how I'm feeling"? Who does that? Nobody does that. So it's very outside the abnormal and very convoluted and confusion based, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. So one of the things around that he talk about is male versus female communication, right? There's no, according to this program, there's no such thing as just communication between two adults. It's just more complication. Common sense, and there are many examples. Common sense is just replaced with overcomplication of simple situations and convolution again. So if someone makes a comment or a statement in the normal world, you just answer it, right? So one of their examples that they have on this video, and I forgot to mention, one of the big gurus out there is this guy named Zach Rody. He's on YouTube and he's also on Facebook. He's one of the big gurus of this cult. All right, I'm going to repeat that. It's definitely a cult, right? So one of the examples that he gave is that if I think either the husband or the wife or somebody asks to pass the salt, you wouldn't believe the amount of gyrations that they go through in these explanations to just pass the salt to somebody. It's like, hey, can you pass the salt, please? Sure, pass the salt. But with them, there's a whole complicated, convoluted process to it to overcomplicate just the most simple thing, which creates confusion, okay? So again, as we know, right? If you don't have to be necessarily a religious zealot or anything, but as we know, the devil is the father of lies and confusion. So they're taking these things and overcomplicating simple things, and that's what the devil does. He brings confusion into the mind for no reason whatsoever. There's no reason to overcomplicate a basic relationship between man and woman. You don't have to have special verbiage for me or a style of talking for me to know that you are a woman and that you're feminine. I don't need to know that. I'm looking at you. You're a woman, right? So as long as we're on the same accord, that is what is important, and with all of this convolution that goes on and these rules that are involved, you cannot feel free to communicate on a basic level, right? If you're talking with your woman, you have to be walking on eggshells, which I'll get into in the second video as well. You have to be walking on eggshells that you're not going to offend her and some other things just to be able to communicate. You know what I mean? If you're involved with somebody, two normal people, we all know this. If you got something on your mind, you got something on your mind. Say what's on your mind. If you're an adult, if you're an intelligent adult, then you should be able to communicate with another intelligent adult in a way that is not offensive. But certainly there should not be ways that you talk that, okay, the way I talk and explain this means that I'm masculine, and the way you say something acknowledges you're feminine, whatever. No, that's complicating of it. So now, just to wrap up this portion of the tenets and what it is, all throughout history, we have had examples of men and women with men leading and so forth and so on. But the one that I go with is faith-based, that it comes out of the scripture. We have been told in the scripture how we conduct ourselves as man and woman and as husband and wife. So again, this polarity thing, watch out for it. It is an absolute cult. And I'll get into more with my experience with it, my personal experience with it, probably in the third video or somewhere around there. So stay tuned for video number 2, where I get into the details of how this stuff works. Okay, see you on the next one.